Coming up on Mountain News this morning, in response to the winter storm, Governor Andy Beshear declared a state of emergency in Kentucky. Plus, why you should stay home if you can.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning and thanks for joining us. We're just past 6 o'clock this Monday morning and we're going to go ahead and send it over to meteorologist Megan Dusmall for a look at your forecast this morning. Now, folks should definitely still be weather aware because we've got more of that precipitation moving through, right, Megan?
We sure do. We had that snow, we had that wintry mix yesterday, and we transitioned to rain as that warm front pushed through, and that's where we're sitting right now, that rain moving into our area. But a cold front is not too far behind it, which will be transitioning that back into snow. These are just the cut and dry of what is going to happen today. But let's take a look at what's happening right now in eastern Kentucky. A big thing is that we do have fog in our area, which is going to be making those already dangerous conditions on the road even more dangerous. So I would highly suggest not driving unless absolutely necessary this Monday morning. I mean, take a look at Pikeville, 0.3-mile visibility. It's a little bit better as you're traveling more towards the southwest, but I do expect maybe some fog to pick up as we're heading through the next couple hours. Those current temperatures also are on the colder side of things today, but we are seeing some warming from that warm front. But again, remember that cold front is coming behind it, dropping those temperatures. And we do have some rain and some freezing rain as you're traveling more towards the north. Madison.
All right, Megan, thank you. Governor Andy Beshear declared a state of emergency to respond to the impact of this winter storm. The state's Emergency Operations Center is also activated throughout the entire event. The governor is urging Kentuckians to take this storm seriously and stay home. He also says the state is ready to respond to power outages. Winter weather is here and it looks like it will continue in the coming weeks. Pike County Emergency Management says you should be prepared. They say you should have non-perishable food items on hand in the case of a power outage, and you should also remember vehicle maintenance. Officials urge people to stay home as is possible, but first responders say you never know when something will come up or when you will need to use your car as shelter. They say you should keep the gas tank full and the tires well inflated and an emergency kit on hand, which should include a windshield scraper, gloves, hot hands, and more.
Jumper cables, once again a flashlight with some extra batteries in the vehicle, and some extra blankets in case something happens. If you, God forbid, if you had a breakdown or something, that you could stay warm until someone got to you.
Jackson says staying home when the weather is at its worst is not only keeps you safer, but allows first responders to get where they are going without added traffic. Crews are reminding you to use other power sources safely in an outage. District Fire Chief Richard Harris says you have to be careful while using generators. If you plan on using one, he says you should check how much power it can run ahead of time. Also be mindful about where you set it up.
Keeping your generators in place is 10 to 15 feet away from eaves, windows, doors, and things of that nature. Make sure the generators is outside. Do not run them inside. Most generators and newer generators have codes and regulations and instructions on them, so be mindful of those and pay attention to those.
Using a generator improperly can increase the risk of carbon monoxide poisoning. Harris recommends turning off generators while you sleep in case anything goes wrong. Officials continually warn folks to be weather aware and for drivers to stay home unless absolutely necessary, especially with the winter storm that hit the region. I spoke to officials with the LKLP Community Action Agency about their transportation operations in bad weather. Kentucky State Police troopers are warning folks to prepare for bad road conditions before the weather moves in.
We do understand there is times where people have to get out. And in the event that they have to do so, we just encourage them to ensure that their equipment and their vehicle is properly prepared for driving in inclement weather.
But what about people who rely on public transportation to make important stops?
It's a real hard judgment call, I guess you could say sometimes, because people's got crucial doctor's appointments that they have to go to. And we attempt to continue to offer services as long as we possibly can during inclement weather.
LKLP Community Action Transportation Director Ori Smith says they transport 200 to 300 people in one day throughout 4 counties.
As their scheduled pickup times come closer, we will call to notify them that we can't make it to pick those up. We still, like I said, try to continue our services to as many people as we can possibly serve.
Riders are picked up by one of 50 drivers and are encouraged to call their driver about road conditions near their pickup location.
At times like these, we have to keep a close eye on for the safety of our drivers and our clients as well. We don't want people getting hurt or injured on bad roads.
Smith says they follow Medicaid guidelines in severe weather situations. To contact LKLP for public transportation, you can call the number on your screen at 866-813-0072. Troopers with Kentucky State Police are reminding folks to be mindful of the weather conditions. They say to be extra cautious while driving during the next few days. With icy and snow-covered roads, you should do the following. Slow down and drive with care. Allow extra time for wherever you are going and to always have on your seatbelt. In Laurel County, first responders kept hopping to issues on the interstate and all over the county as people dealt with first snow, then freezing rain. Phil Pendleton shows us Sunday's weather conditions.
The Christmas lights still on in London are a fitting backdrop to the snow that fell on Sunday. Yet don't call this a winter wonderland.
I don't like it. I'd rather be 80 degrees where you don't have to have as much clothes on. I'm a truck driver, so I have to drive in this stuff.
A lot of people had a hard time driving in this stuff with first snow and then slush.
Deadly combination. So we've had 4 crashes in the last 20 minutes reported just to our agency.
One crash sent a bunch of first responders to the 48-mile marker on the interstate. There were other problems along the corridor from Whitley County all the way up to Rockcastle.
Well, it's just been icy everywhere. I mean, I came up some pretty wicked mountains and it was pretty icy. And back home, like from Chattanooga, it's still pretty normal.
And at home is where police say you should stay unless it's just absolutely necessary to be out.
Just for our agency, we normally investigate in a 24-hour period 3 to 4 crashes countywide. We've had 14 so far, 1 injury, most of them on the interstate.
Again, if it is an option for you, it is always best to stay home in these conditions. Numerous wrecks happened all throughout the day yesterday. Lots of schools and businesses are closed today. Download the WYMT weather app to find closings and delays if and when they come in. You can also find the latest winter storm coverage and sign up for breaking news alerts. Just scan the QR code on your screen with your phone's camera and it will take you to where you can download the app. It is free for both Android and iPhone users. All right, let's take a look at some of the power outages in the county. If we go ahead and start off with Leslie County, we'll see their numbers are looking pretty good. They're about 200 people without power in Leslie County. If we move over to Perry County, we've got a little more than 600 people without power. Moving over to Knott County, they're just above 500 people without power. Moving over to Breathitt County, they've got a pretty large number of people without power. About more than 2,000 people do not have power still in Breathitt County. If we go ahead and move over to Lee County, same thing, about 1,500 people still do not have power at this time. And in Owsley County, there are just a little more than 1,000 people without power. I mean, I think those power companies are still working hard to make sure people can get their power back on, but the main issue is the ice and snow on those power lines. So just make sure that you are staying aware and in contact with your power company at this time. We want to remind you that we are just a couple of days away from our annual winter blood drive here at WYMT. The Kentucky Blood Center is teaming up with WYMT for the drive. It is happening here at the station on Wednesday, January 8th from 3 p.m. until 7 p.m. You must be at least 17 years old to donate or 16 with parental consent.
Power companies and officials with snow plows have been diligent making sure that we are as safe as possible during this event, and they've done a great job, but it's still not not good for you to be driving on those roads this morning. So just something to be considering if you are unable to not go out. Just make sure you're being safe this morning. And those temperatures are on the colder side of things today. We can take a look across the United States, and I mean, it is cold everywhere. Now, as we're looking specifically here in eastern Kentucky, we do have just a little bit of warming as that warm front is raising those temperatures right now, but we are going to quickly have that cold front come behind, dropping those temperatures going into the afternoon. So those temperatures will not be staying in the 40s throughout the rest of your day, unfortunately. And we still do have some winter weather alerts for today, looking a lot in the winter storm warning category in that pink, and the winter weather advisory in that purple. More information is on the WYMT web story. Madison.
All right, Megan, thank you. And thank you for joining us on Mountain News this morning. More news is on the way.